Hey everybody, welcome. It's Liberty Stacking, also known in certain circles as Y6625. With me is ZP002 from ZERT HQ, and he's here today to talk about what ZERT is and how you can benefit from being in ZERT. So, Chris, if you would introduce yourself real quick.
Awesome. Thank you so much, John. Again, like you said, my name is Chris. Or my call sign is ZP002. Anybody that's involved with ZERT understands what that is. Anybody that's not involved with ZERT, kind of give you a little bit of background on that. Is ZERT was started over a decade ago, and it was started by the original owner, XP001, Aaron, and he basically started off, he was the first member, so that's why he's 001. And as you know, John, as you said, your call sign is Y6625, and obviously that's based on the time that you came in, 6,625th member, and you're located in the central time zone, and that's why it is the Y Squadron. So it's broken up into squadrons, and every squadron obviously is built up in states, and it's based off of time zones, basically. So I've been around ZERT for a minute. Aaron and I have known each other for a long time, and we were always wanting to do some stuff together. I always worked for some other manufacturers in the firearms industry. I've been working in the firearms industry for over a decade now, and it was, gosh, let's see. I think it was NRA 2016. ZERT was actually in my booth. We were displaying at the NRA show in Louisville, and Aaron was set up in the booth with me, and it was a pretty wild time. And just getting to see all the members at that point. Been out to HQ when it was in Vegas for the Intergalactic Kegger, then at SHOT Show. And so last year I had the opportunity to basically be entrusted with the keys to the kingdom, if you will. And I was able to take over ZERT October. Gosh, it's going to be a year. And no, it is a year. It was September of last year is when I actually made the switch and purchased the company. And it was about a month later when the cat got released out of the bag, if you will.
I've been a Y Squad member ever since I joined. So break down, what does ZERT do actually? What is it, and how does it operate as far as for its members?
It's a great question. So what ZERT does for its members, let's start with what ZERT is, right? So like I said, ZERT started a decade ago, and it started a decade ago when let's see, you're talking Walking Dead was still hot, Walking Dead was new and it was the big thing, and zombies were, and I say this, but every year there's a new zombie movie that comes out, and there's something else that's zombie related. But ZERT started as obviously you can see the patch in the background there. It's an acronym, and it stood for Zombie Eradication Response Team. It started off like that. It was kind of a fun thing, and basically it was a group of people. They were like-minded people that were, preparing for the zombie apocalypse type thing. And then as it grew, it was like gasoline on the fire, and that thing just took off back in the early days of ZERT, the 2014, 2015, 2016, it really grew. ZERT's a global community. It's a global organization. We've cycled through 26,000 members. So eventually the company needed to evolve, or the organization needed to evolve. ZERT needed to evolve, and where they started to look at what similarities a zombie apocalypse had in today's society, and things that we have seen and we will see that's in our lifetime. And, the bottom line is, if you're prepared for a zombie apocalypse, you're prepared for when a hurricane hits. You're prepared for when a tornado hits. Bottom line is, you were prepared for COVID. And what I mean by that is you had toilet paper, you had hand sanitizer, you had ammunition, and you understood how to use those things and kind of be prepared for a situation like that. I mean, if you look at, images of New York City in the height of COVID and its lockdown, and then you put that side by side, you literally put that side by side next to like the Walking Dead poster. It's very similar. Like there was nobody on the streets. Like, it looked very, very weird. So eventually the Z in ZERT, or zombie, became a metaphor for any man-made or natural disaster that we have or will see in our lifetime, whether it's civil unrest, whether it's riots, and looting. I mean, those are all things that can kind of correlate to that apocalyptic type situation. And what that, and I guess the little bit deeper meaning to that is just being prepared and understanding, being aware of your surroundings, understanding how to protect those around you, yourself, and, stuff like that. So that's what ZERT, and that's how ZERT grew, right? So you now have this community of like-minded people that have come together, and once you join, you meet other members in your area, in your state, in your squadron. And some people have built friendships for over a decade, and not only in their state, but because your membership allows you access to all of the private pages and the private groups, you're meeting people from outside of the US. I mean, I know that there's a couple members that from Iceland and Washington. They're really good friends. They do FaceTime and Zoom calls together. I mean, that's great right there. I mean, that's a huge thing. Like it's a big community. And so what as ZERT has evolved up until I took it over, and then and now how it's evolving past that. My first thing was to make sure and ensure that we got a strong foundation under the organization again, and under the community. ZERT had a couple of hurdles in the probably the 2018. Like 2017 to 2018 time, then COVID hit, and then everybody was dealing with hurdles. So we picked it up at a pretty good time, and we've done a lot of building on the infrastructure of the organization, ensuring that the community is always taken care of and has what they need. One of the things that we did, obviously, your membership comes with, like you can see in the background there, comes with your patch, comes with your membership card. And that gets you the access, and that's your call sign right there. That's the 7th-year card. And then there's a t-shirt that matches that. And then, on the front of the t-shirt is the patch that's in the background there. So with the number 7 underneath it. So after ensuring that, like that membership thing was taken care of and people were getting what they wanted out of ZERT, we started asking and finding out what the members were really looking for, why they were joining ZERT, and what they wanted to get out of it. And listen, at the end of the day, it's an organization and a community of like-minded people, and some of those people love the lore of zombies, and that's why they want to be involved. And then there's people out there that love just being connected to a group of people, like-minded people, and they talk about the latest guns and gear and training, and that's great. And then there's people out there that want to just do training. And one of the things that we started to do last year was to develop a national curriculum. So basically a curriculum that would allow ZERT members, new members, old members, the ability to enter a crawl, walk, run type scenario. Basically everything from that new ZERT member who may be a new pistol owner or a couple year pistol owner, and they haven't had the opportunity to go out there and train. They may go to a flat range and they may put rounds on paper 7 yards, 10 yards down, but there is no learning how to clear a cover garment, draw from a holster, and not worry about so much the hits on the paper, but the function and the mechanics behind it. and then inducing stress. I mean, there's no stress when you have a paper target 7 yards down range, right? I mean, you're literally just
stress at that.
yeah. You can go as slow as you want, and you can be as accurate as you want, but that's not how the situation is going to be all the time. So so we've been working for the last 9 months really to put it together, and we ran into a couple of hurdles, and you know what, that's just what's going to happen when you have an organization like this. We had a team in place and we were getting ready to put the training out, and then we had to change gears and go with a different team. And so there's an HQ training division basically, and it's Mr. X Paul Taylor, who has been a ZERT trainer for a long time, and then Jamie Franks. Some people may know him from Top Shot. I just know him as a friend, but he's actually still active duty in the Navy, and he's going to be one of the trainers as well. And then what we're doing also is we went inside the community basically and found people inside of ZERT that were interested in becoming trainers, and we started a process of reaching out to them and getting names and you know, having interviews with them and seeing where their skill set lies. And you know, initially I wanted to have a ZERT trainer, 1 or 2 in every state. And then, you know, what we realized is we were probably trying to conquer the world at that point, and we just needed to go state by state. So we do have 6 states that are going to be ready to go with training next year. But what we decided to do is put on an event, the ZERT Genesis Resurgence event next month. And basically it's going to give some people that are at here a snapshot or a mashup of all of the training that we're about to roll out.
Can you go into Genesis a little bit for us and explain what
I can? Yep, I can. Let me kind of step it back though. You know, you asked what we provide to the members, and you know, the best way I can put it out there, and I've tried to figure out how to give the explanation to people now. And you know, I'm a sales guy at heart. I always have been, but so it's hard for me to just give a snapshot without trying to give you the entire history of the company and the organization, and see where it's been and where it's going. But you know, and the way I put it out there is, you know, what ZERT is to people is an organization and a community of like-minded people that offers firearm survival and medical training on top of, you know, networking and building relationships. And that's what I love. And, you know, one of the things is, so I own a Harley, and when you buy a Harley, or when you own a Harley, whatever, there's a group out there called HOG, and it's an acronym, and it stands for Harley Owners Group. And it's a group of like-minded individuals that gather in a state. They're part of a chapter, and they meet up and they go ride. Well, we do the same thing. We just meet up, and whether it's barbecues, whether we talk about, you know, AR maintenance or prepping, or like food canning, or, you know, building shelters, that's what it is. And that's what I love about it. You know, I mean, I've gotten to meet some great people so far in the last year. I can't wait to meet more. I mean, I went to a lot of meet and greets this year, and I plan to do more next year as they continue to pop up and they continue to grow. Like I said, ZERT kind of stepped on a little bit of a landmine, and we've been having a good time the last year, putting it back and getting it and growing it bigger than what it was before, and seeing states out there get active, seeing new members. I mean, shit, the last couple of first year memberships that went out the door were going to the United Kingdom. Like,
wow.
So again, yeah, global stuff. I mean, it's great.
I remember when we got the first Israeli member. That was a big deal.
Yes. I mean, and I would love to expand into other countries that we're not in, you know. I mean, I would love to visit some of those countries that we have members in, and who knows, down the road. But and I said it last year when I put out my goals for it. You know, the priority for me was to fix the domestic side of it, and then work on the international side of it.
Yeah, well, we got home first before we can work on anything else.
Sure. I mean, I agree. I mean, and you can only do so much outside of here, but it's on the agenda. So, so to go back and answer your question on what ZERT Genesis Resurgence is. So the bottom line is, in the past, ZERT has had training, right? We had a bunch of trainers, and they would go out and they would do all of these training things. But then ZERT also had events, like the Intergalactic Kegger that was every year around SHOT Show in Las Vegas.
Yeah, I've always.
And then they had, yeah, I mean, the Intergalactic Kegger was a great time. The new event that's going to be held in January is the Nitro Kegger. Obviously, we changed the name of that in memory of Nitro Jill, who was a longtime ZERT member, very loved in the community, and she passed away I believe in August. So I don't remember the exact date, but I remember it was no, not in August. It was in July. Sorry. And I don't know the exact date. You're going to have somebody fact check me on that one. But
somebody pull that up for us. I got my computer running off to the side, so I'll see it pop up on the chat.
Great. Thanks. And then one of the other ones that they had was obviously they had the Battleship Texas event. And then the big one that has people excited was the Outbreak Omega. It used to be run, I believe, put on by DPMS, and then ZERT got involved in their six-year event, or Outbreak Omega 6, and then they had 7. I know that they moved it from where it initially was being held to Utah for the 7th year, and then obviously there was always talk about an 8th, but then things kind of, like I said, went sideways. We are bringing that event back. So as we started to
hold on one second, Chris. Bullion Baby. If you go to ZERTNation.com, click the thing for Genesis Resurgence. It's coming up next month in October, and it's going to be in Oklahoma.
14th, 15th, and 16th.
You would love it, dude.
Yeah. And so let me jump into that. I'll just go into what that is. So obviously, we did a little bit of questioning. We had a training class in July. We didn't get as big of a turnout as we wanted, so we started asking the questions. You guys want events? Do you want training? Do you want both? And obviously the consensus was both. So with the rolling out of a new training curriculum, different than what kind of training ZERT offered in the past, we figured it was time to kind of put an event and training in a hybrid event. So everyone's aware of what a mashup is, right? You just put a bunch of different songs together and you just mash them all up, and it goes from one to the next to the next. Well, that's what ZERT Genesis Resurgence event is. It is basically a snapshot mashup of what we are about to roll out. We have ZERT members who are wanting to be instructors. We encourage them to go to this. It's basically going to be like an audition. We're checking you out. You're seeing what we're bringing to the table. And so now we know, like, that's your interview, if you will. Right. So I know we have a couple of people that are interested in doing that. So we're excited for that. But bottom line is it's October 14th, 15th, and 16th. Okay. 14th is the Cigar and Bourbon Social, where it's kind of a meet the team situation where you'll get to meet Paul Taylor, Mr. X, meet Jamie Franks, the senior chief, meet me. It'll be held at Jack Rose, the state POC for Oklahoma. You'll have James Baker there, who will be doing the medical portion of the event. And rumor has it, we'll see though, because he just did have to get deployed. I'm not sure where he's at, but he's doing some contracting again for NASA. But rumor has it XP001 is going to be there as well, which will be a blast if it actually comes to, because when he and I get together, it's usually a fun time. There's a couple of funny videos going around of me and him when we were in Louisville. But so Friday night, Cigar Bourbon Social. Saturday, we're on the range. It's a large range. We will have again, the curriculum from the pistol 1 up to 3, rifle 1 up to 3. You're going to have multi-gun, 2-gun thrown in there. You're going to have dynamic team movement, which was Paul Taylor's. It's the evolution of Paul Taylor's team tactics. So you're going to be learning how to move as a team. You'll get some medical. That's all going to be mixed in there. And so it's Saturday and Sunday is the class, is the event. Saturday you also get a barbecue dinner, and then Sunday we get back on the range, and then obviously there'll be probably a meet and greet afterwards, or a second night of fun after the barbecue dinner. Sunday back on the range, and I'm not going to give it away, but I can tell you that at the end of this, you'll receive a challenge coin. I don't know. The challenge coin was shown today. Let me see if I think I have it on my phone. Yeah, so I have it on my phone. I absolutely love the way that it came out. I'm gonna put it up on the screen really here. Good. Yeah, so you pick up a challenge coin. There will be a PVC patch, but you won't be handed them. You will have to work to get them. That's all I can really tell you. Can't give away too many details. It's going to be fun though. It will be on video, but the skills that you have learned up until the mission will be included, will be put to the test. So it's a fun time. I have heard what the instructors have in store, and I'm excited for it. So that's what the Genesis Resurgence event is all about.
Now, you just touched on earning challenge coins.
Correct.
In the day, XP01 used to have his national shooting standards, his irregular warfare tab, and the triple S tab. Is ZERT still doing those?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, the NSS, National Shooting Standards, Regular Warfare, and the Triple S, they're still there. And I put this, it's funny too, because I think it was the old POC from Pennsylvania, and there were some people that were kind of balking at the need for a 1.5 or a 2.5 class, because they've already taken some advanced class. And I said, all right, well, I said, here's what I'll do. I'll send you one NSS target, and I'll send you 28 rounds. And if you can shoot that drill clean one time, then you can advance. You can move right to the advanced classes. But like anybody else you go take training with, the instructor is going to vet you. And if you're not ready for the class that you've signed up for, you will be pulled off the line. Not to mention, if you go to a class and think you can't learn, you're not in the right mindset. Like, you can always learn, you can always get better, you can always hone your skills. So the Triple S, the NSS, the irregular warfare. So obviously the NSS is a target you need to shoot with pistol or with rifle, and it's basically to test your skill level, your marksmanship, and it's a challenge. Not everybody has done it. I mean, I know that there's guys out there that have tried it continuously and they can't get it clean.
Still trying to get my NSS tab. I shoot it probably 4 or 5 times a year, and it's not easy.
No, it's not.
I've tried it with a pistol, and I mean, I carry a pistol every day. And
right.
I've never failed to qualify one time with my pistol.
Right.
But you have to shoot 3x5 index card essentially at 7 yards.
Yeah. And it's not just shooting a 3x5 index card at 7 yards. It's with regular 2 hands. It's support hand. I mean, there's a lot to it. And then we take it a step further. And if you want to get your regular warfare, you have to do all of that again with a gas mask on.
Yeah.
Once you complete that, you get your IW tab, and then After that, you have to get the triple S target and then complete that one. Where that one trips a lot of people up is there's two pieces to the triple S, and the first involves push-ups, and it's 24 push-ups in 24 seconds, and then you get up, you mount the rifle, and you have, I believe it's 24 more seconds to hit all of the targets with rifle and pistol. And there are 4 targets, 4 playing cards, playing card targets, and you have to shoot that as well. Once you get that, you complete that one, you then get your triple S tab, and now you are triple tabbed, and you can get acceptance into the D troop. And once you do that, at the end of your call sign, you would have like ZP002 with a D at the end of it. So it is, I can tell you that there's not a lot of D troop members out there. There are a few of them. And you know, it's something to achieve, which is pretty awesome. So that's one of the earned.
Louisiana did a weekend camp out right after I first joined ZERT, and we spent 2 days at the range trying to get guys NSS IW tab, and I want to say we only got 2 or 3 people to earn their tabs during that whole time, and we had like 10-15 people there shooting all weekend. Yeah. And it's not easy.
No, it's not. It's not. And you know what's funny is XP001. I know that there is a video of him shooting, and in fact, it's on the homepage of the new website.
Yeah, where he dropped a 1.
Right, and XP001's call sign is still XP001. There's no D at the end of it. There's no D at the end of mine. I mean, I haven't attempted it in a minute. So, and I will. I need to get back out there, but unfortunately, I find myself in a chair at a desk more these days than on the range. And trust me, nobody wants the training curriculum rolled out and training classes happening more than me, because then it gives me an excuse. Nope, I got to go out and hand out certificates. Can't be in the office this week. See you later. You guys got this.
So now we're talking about training. Let's talk about our trainers. What goes into ensuring that ZERT has a acceptable trainer? How do you vet them?
So I do the vetting with one of my HQ trainers. He's I guess retired Army, if you will. I mean, he was SF in the Army. Paul Taylor. He's been a ZERT instructor for quite some time. So we've done some vetting together. At the time, in the beginning of the instructor search, the 2 people that were kind of heading up the training division at that time did a good portion of it. The instructors that we're going to be going with now, like I said, the group in Las Vegas they have a training company. They're ZERT members. They've done training for ZERT in the past. So I went back and used, obviously, some of those folks. Paul Taylor, like I said, he's a ZERT trainer, so he's been doing this. Jamie Franks, I'm very aware of Jamie's skill. Like I said, he was on Top Shot. If anyone who watched that show, he was on 2 seasons of Top Shot. And I mean, again, the vetting. I did the vetting for Jamie. I knew he was good to go. And we have a member in North Carolina who's also former military. He's going to be out at the event in Oklahoma, so he's expressed interest. And we have another guy in Pennsylvania. I'm supposed to be meeting with somebody here in Connecticut. So it's just obviously it's a process of people reaching out to us. And then we start the conversation, and when the conversation needs to become more of a hands-on thing, then we'll get there. That's why we did encourage anybody who was wanting to be a ZERT instructor to kind of come out and do this. The whole goal was, and then the other hurdle that we had is Jamie got deployed for, I think he was gone for 10 weeks. He was supposed to be 5, and it was like 10 weeks over the summer. So the whole goal was, once we had all of the instructors dialed in, or I'm sorry, locked down for who we wanted, we were going to take that a step further and kind of do an instructor symposium, if you will, and try and get everybody in a central location and basically have like a, like a training seminar. And that's still, it's still in the works. If we can kind of whittle that down or minimize the amount of that needs to happen by doing a Genesis Resurgence event, then it'd probably be best. We would like to do it that way, kind of come and join in the event and maybe step in and do a little bit of teaching, or maybe become an AI for a couple of the drills, so the HQ instructors and myself can see how you work, and then we just kind of go from there.
All right. So one of the big things I did while I was in ZERT is, like, I started kind of prepping before I joined ZERT, and as I was doing a lot of Facebook stuff, it's like searching into trying to find more knowledge, I kept noticing ZERT pop up on my feed, and I was showing it to my wife, like, oh, look at this, baby, look at this is so awesome, and she's like, that's the silliest thing ever. I was like, it's
Okay.
really. And I joined, and one of the things that kind of interested me was the ham radio.
Right.
Now, I am not an electrical guru. I am pretty stupid when it comes to that kind of stuff. But being in ZERT, some guys in ZERT actually helped me, and I achieved my technician and general license. I'm starting to work on my extra, and then I actually want to earn one of the tabs we used to have was the if you made contact on the nets, on the ZERT combo nets. I would like to try to tab on that.
Correct. So yeah, I got to tell you, that whole ham license and that whole the ZERT Commo Task Force, which is the title of the private page that we have, and earning those tabs, if you will, I started looking to, and I'm not that guy, right? That's not me at all. But I know that Jack Rose from Oklahoma, James Baker, there's a couple other guys in Oklahoma that are really driving that thing, driving that whole group. And I know that they do weekly check-ins, and they really keep it maintained, and they do as much communication as they possibly can. And I think it's awesome. I know that that's a huge thing. I got one of the guys that's one of the members who's also a friend of mine in Arizona. His name is Brett. He's another big one into that. And, you see some of these setups that these guys have, and you're just like, wow, man, that's insane. But if we're talking about a true prepared situation and a prepared scenario and individual, like that is, that is a serious thing. Like if lines of communication go down, what we all know as lines of communication, or what people know as, just your traditional or your generic lines of communication, like those ham radios, like that's going to be how people keep in contact. I mean, it's a big thing. And it's a pun, but I just don't have the bandwidth to really dive into it and kind of, because it's a lot, right? I mean, it's a lot. When I started, I mean, you said it right there, when I started looking into it, I was like, holy crap, like my mind's going out to here. But it's funny.
My brother, he can sit there and tell you, he can describe radio theory and all like that to you. And I'm like, if I turn it to these numbers and I press this little button right here, and I haven't screwed up anything, it'll broadcast, like magic.
Right. Yeah. No. Outside of me, I mean, I'm going back to the days of when I had like Nextel and we had like two-way radios, but like Nextel, like, right, like exactly. Oh, but the gray and the beard didn't get it for me. Um, so I mean, it's funny because when Nextel came out, like you could only direct connect with somebody that was, it within a certain mile radius, and then they went to national, and that was But it's funny, we talk about that, and I can specifically remember my family, and I think it was probably I don't remember when the big hurricane and when Andrew was. Maybe it was 2005 in Florida, but no. Well, Katrina was
Katrina was 2005.
right. Okay, but then there was okay, so maybe that's the date. But then I think it was Andrew. Hurricane Andrew was a big one that rocked Florida, South Florida.
Yeah.
And phone lines, they had no cell service. Like all phone lines were down. Now, granted, there was probably still landlines at that time, but a good portion of the people had, cell phones. But anybody that had Nextel was still able to communicate. So, I mean, I know it's not the same, and I'm sure that the ham radio thing is obviously a bit more in depth, but yeah, it's definitely something that I would love to eventually get involved with, but I'd much rather go pull the trigger and work on the NSS. But going back to what you said about when your wife first saw it and she was just like, "Oh my God, this is," trust me, it's the same thing. Like when I sat there, I was telling somebody about it the other night at dinner. And when you first start talking about the acronym of ZERT, like the looks that you get are just like, oh gosh, like it pushes people back for a second. But then I could tell you, I told somebody about it a week and a half ago, and then as I started to evolve the conversation and kind of bring them into understanding, and it's always the COVID thing that gets them, right? So like when you sit there and you say, if you're prepared for a zombie apocalypse, you were prepared for COVID. And then you're like, and you followed up with, you had hand sanitizer, you had toilet paper, you had ammunition. That's when it clicks. And people are like, oh yeah. It's not so much a zombie or whatever. It's just being prepared. Like, and understanding, what you need to do. Again, not just, not I don't know. I mean, it's all things like making sure your vehicle's gassed up before you enter a long stretch of a drive where there may not be a gas station.
Well, prepping and preparedness is what kind of pushed me towards ZERT. And then once ZERT, I made a few changes in my life. Like we decided to be financially prepared, where which I kind of didn't pull the trigger on it when I should have. Was I started looking at silver, stacking silver and gold, which in 2020 I started, because I have my pension, my 401k, my Roth, I started stacking precious metals, which is why I created this YouTube channel. But I've noticed everything that I do, revolves back to some kind of preparedness. I mean, we live here in South Louisiana. I mean, today they were talking about at work, we got another storm possibly entering the Gulf.
Okay.
Gonna be here next weekend. I'm like, okay, cool. Like, because to me, we have our generator, we have gas, we have food stored, we have the stuff we need to get through. When Hurricane Ida came last year and knocked out the power, I told my wife, because I had to work, I had to be at work, I couldn't be at home. We were staying at the office, and I told her, I said, look, just go to your mom's, and she packed up what she needed, and they went to their mom's, and and I want to say within a week, we had power. We were fortunate where we were. We weren't out power that long. We had power back within a week. It really did suck losing everything in our freezer. Being one of the guys from work, we was like, what? We came up to the house, we loaded up the ice chest with all the deer sausage and everything we had, brought it to work, and we ate really good for a week.
No. Oh yeah. I can yeah, no, I can relate. There was I mean, because if you're out of power, you don't have. I mean, you can in the winter. It's one thing, right? Like especially up, I guess up here, you can throw your meat in a cooler and put it outside, and it'll work a little bit.
Yeah, but
But
it'll
you know,
freeze to death up there.
well, it's not that bad. I mean, yeah, sure, but
Bro, y'all get,
there's say that again.
I said, y'all get snow.
Well,
If it
sure, yeah, we
goes to
do.
Louisiana, it's the apocalypse, dude. Shit is going like,
So it's funny you bring that up too. I mean, I can tell you, gosh, it's like understanding how to drive in adverse weather. I mean, I I was in Texas for a show. I can't remember. It was a February show. Probably dates back to 2015, maybe. I don't know, somewhere around there. But Texas got hit with snow. Dallas, Fort Worth, Texas,
no,
snow.
they don't get snow.
Exactly. They don't get snow. And it was like the world shut down there. I remember the taxi driver shows up because I'm going to the airport. I'm doing everything I can, just hoping I'm going to get out of there. The taxi driver pulls up and, he comes out to grab my bag. I said, "Hey, listen," I said, "do you know how to drive in this? Because if you don't, I do. You get in the back." This guy had no idea what he was doing. Like, there's no plows, right? So Texas isn't prepared. There's no plows. There's no
Well, I mean, it
salt
would be
trucks.
for Texas to go out and buy snow plows and salt trucks because how often do they see it?
Exactly, right. So it doesn't make sense, right? So on the highway you have these just two little rows where everybody's tires are going, and all it's doing is pushing the snow and the slush into the middle of where you're crossing over a lane. This guy's crossing over that stuff like it's
Oh,
not there.
he's asking for
Oh
trouble.
my God. And so then on top of it, his windshield is icing up and the wipers going over the windshield, and it's just creating this, and he's looking through a little, like, I'm like, are you kidding? I'm gonna die. So we get to the airport. I get outside. I mean, I was ready to kiss the ground. I would never be happier to get to an airport safely. But I just looked at him. I said, "Hey, pro tip." And I grabbed his windshield wiper, and you pick it up and you slam it down, and it broke all the ice off. And it's like, now you can see. It's like, you know, again, but sure, do they need to understand how to drive like that? No. I can also remember when Atlanta, Georgia got hit with like an inch of snow, and it shut the city down. Like they didn't know what to do. They were completely paralyzed for a week until the snow melted.
I want to say we got
Um,
2 or 3 inches of snow here in St. Tammany Parish, and I mean
yeah,
we were losing power lines because like our trees are not we don't get snow down here, so
no,
limbs are snapping off trees, taking out power. The roads were iced over, people all
that's
over the
right.
day. Yeah,
Oh, that's wild. I mean,
dude,
we
it looked like the scenes from The Walking Dead where they were broke down on the interstate and they were walking right before they got to Herschel's farm. There was just shit everywhere, all in the medians. Just
yeah,
it was bad for like two or
yeah,
three days. It stayed below freezing for like 2 or 3 days. I mean,
yeah.
even where the road froze over in front of my house because I was turning into my house in my F-150, and man, I hit that ice and that F-150 just started turning around. I'm like, oh shit, here we go.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, everyone talks about, oh, I got four wheel drive. Listen, four wheel drive is great in the snow. It doesn't mean crap on the ice. Like you are ice does it doesn't matter unless you're dealing with tank treads. You got nothing. But it's just, I mean, it's funny when we talk about that and understanding like just being all forms of prepared. I mean, so you're sitting here talking about, oh gosh, the winter, the cold weather. Yeah, I mean, we've lost power up here. I mean, in the winter, and you know, you learn and you figure out how to do it. I mean, just because we lose power doesn't mean we can't light a fire in the fireplace.
Yeah, like I have a wood burning fireplace in my house, and
Right,
it's the old cast iron, door with the blowers. That's how I
right,
heat my home. So
yep,
like us losing power in the wintertime is not a big deal. Now we lose power in the summertime, shit is gonna go down. It's
yeah, uh,
muggy.
oh yeah. Well, so and we were talking about, you were talking about how you ate good for a week. That the last time I remember losing power, I think it was for 4 days. Is we had some kind of tornado touchdown here. This was in 2017, no, 2000, I don't know, 2017 or 18. But no, it was 2018. And, you don't open the fridge for a few days, right? And you just kind of hoping everything stays and the power comes on so you don't lose everything. And then it was the fourth day, and I was like, well, screw it. Everything's coming out. So we took out all the chicken, we took out the tenderloins, a couple of steaks, lit the grill, and just started throwing it all on there. I shit you not, John, about 5 minutes after the meat was on there, the power comes back on.
You're like,
So,
well,
well,
this is an expensive barbecue.
Yeah. I was like, well, looks like we're eating good for a couple of days. So, but it's, it's just, it's having that mindset and kind of being just completely open to, learning new skills and obviously that keep you prepared. Right. So, especially when it comes to trying to learn ham radio and stuff like that.
Yeah.
The medical, all stuff that, you may not keep as a tool in your toolbox, but it should be.
Well, real quick, do you want to break down into some of the groups that ZERT has to offer to people that aren't in ZERT that may be potentially looking at getting into ZERT?
Yeah, sure. I mean, and obviously not all of them are readily available on the website, and they're all available and you can find them all on Facebook, but they all are private groups and you can't really get into them unless you become part of ZERT. But we have obviously all of the states have their own groups and their own pages, and then we have pages for reloaders. So if you're part of if you like to reload, load your own rounds, load your own ammunition, there's a group for that. There's the off-road and recovery group. So, if you like the trucks, the Jeeps, the, overlanding stuff, there's a group for that. We have a fit club. I mean, anybody who is into fitness and wants to better their fitness and communicate, obviously, that's part of the being prepared thing, right? Like, especially the zombie apocalypse. What was that movie? Zombieland. Like, cardio, right? Cardio. And we can all, I mean, hell, I'm in the process of making sure I eat right. I have a knee replacement coming and I want to make sure that I'm in the best kind of shape that I can be in just for the recovery. The Camo Task Force obviously is another big one. We have an archery group. Anybody who wants to do archery, hunting and survival.
I did not know about the archery group.
Yeah, we do. I mean, it's probably not as active as it should be or as it could be. I personally, I used to love shooting my bow as much as my firearm, if not more, because you can do it anywhere, right? Like we used to, when I lived in Florida, we used to go to the side of the house and we would just shoot the bow into a target. And you can do it all day long.
Yeah, because it's not going to sling the round, a couple hundred yards. It's 70, 80 yards max.
Right. And I mean, and also you go to the side of your house and you shoot a bow and your neighbor doesn't know what you're doing. You go to the side of the house and you start shooting your firearm, then everyone's wondering what's going on.
Yeah.
But I mean, I picked up, and so I had shoulder surgery. I still have actually a tear in the shoulder. So, drawing the
bow.
Yeah, drawing the compound bow is a little bit more of a challenge. I did switch to a recurve bow. It's still fun, but it's not as fun. But there's always a crossbow. Let's see. Obviously we have the ZERT Canine group. So we all, there's a group of I mean, everybody loves dogs, but everyone, shares their pictures there. My dog is in the back here wondering why I'm not hanging out with her. And she's like, why are you working? And so she just came over here. We have a gamers group. There's a bunch of people that like to game. So they get on there and they communicate. They talk about whatever game they're playing and they share some information. I'm sure at some point in the past, they probably would get on and game together. And we hope that continues or starts up again, because there's nothing better than having some drinks and getting on games and talking shit to people. But we'll see. They have an airsoft and a paintball group. We actually just created a new page over the years, over the time. ZERT members have passed on. And the thing is with ZERT, once you are issued a call sign, that is your call sign forever. I think it's a very rare instance where somebody loses their call sign. But if a member has passed away, we created a page to memorialize those members, and people can go on and share stories, and we can always remember those that were a part of ZERT, and then just are part of ZERT continued on after their passing. Let's see, other groups. Obviously, we have the instructor groups. We have a gunsmith group. There's probably some more groups that I'm not even remembering or touching on. There's a lot of them. There was always a group of members that would say, hey, what about this kind of group, or why don't we have this one? So they created those in the past. And then, like I said, every state has a page, and then even outside of the United States, all of those squadrons, they have their own page. So Australia, Italy, the groups up in Canada, Iceland, we're global, which is so awesome. I mean,
and that's one thing I loved about the groups. Like if I had a question about something and I asked on the state page and nobody could answer it, I could always be sure, like if I hit the squadron page or, maybe one of the group pages, somebody would be able to answer the question that we had, which, because you're going to a wider group of people, or wider.
Oh, yeah. Again, I mean, what kind of group, and my goal is to grow ZERT larger than it was. But how many organizations and communities out there can you be a part of and network with people across the globe? One of the members, Steve in Australia, he and I have communicated in the past. We don't communicate as much as we did in the beginning, just because obviously time zones and whatnot. But it's great. Like, being able to network with people like that and just share stories, talk about stuff. I think he just got a Harley, and he's posted some pictures of it, and I need to reach out to him and talk Harley for a minute. But it's always cool. It's always great meeting like-minded people and having some great things to talk about, and stuff that everybody has in common. So
one thing I wanted to ask, when we touched on call signs, if we look at your call sign, you see ZP002. What does the P mean for people who don't?
So if you have a P in your call sign, then you're a plank member. And as a plank member, when Aaron started the company, or the organization, and plank members go back. It's a military thing. And obviously, Aaron was military, so that's why he kind of incorporated some of those things. So as a plank member, it was an individual who was the member of a ship when that ship was placed in the commission. So basically, when a new ship is placed in the commission, if you were a part of that crew, you were considered a plank member. So Aaron kind of adopted that for ZERT. The first 100 members of ZERT were plank members. And then, or a plank owner, if you will. The plank owners is the Navy term for it. Plank member is the ZERT term, I guess, that was adopted. But and then at some point, Aaron expanded the plank members, and there was a situation surrounding that. Don't know the details on it, but that's why if you meet a ZERT member and there's a P in front of their call sign, or in the beginning of their call sign, that's because they've been around for a minute, so they have history.
Well, um, so moving forward with ZERT,
Yes. Yep.
what can we look for 2023? Because 2022 is almost over.
It is. So 2023 and actually coming up at the end of this 2002 leading into 23 is where it gets exciting. So obviously, I've talked about it. One of the things that I think that was a hurdle for some ZERT members, and life happens, right? And we don't always remember to renew things. And we've gone ahead and changed that. So going forward, hopefully within the next couple of weeks, the new website will launch, and basically it'll be set up for an auto renew. So bottom line is you sign up and you don't have to worry about what time of the year you can renew. It'll renew on your anniversary date every year. So if you sign up tomorrow, a year from tomorrow, you will get your next year membership. It is basically, we're talking not Skynet, but it is a more advanced system where it basically
It's like a
keeps track
subscription.
of. It is, but what I love about it, and I got to see it in action today. So, I asked a couple of questions like, okay, so John, if you were to, the new website goes live tomorrow and you were to renew tomorrow, once you put your information in, it already knows where you are in your membership. So it'll all automatically select your next year membership. So sometimes we've had members that they don't remember where they are, or they maybe have lapsed for a couple of years.
Yeah,
This new
I
system,
lapsed for a little bit, so I'm trying to
right?
catch back up. I want to say ZERT was entering its third year when I joined.
Okay.
So we're on what, year 11 right now?
We just launched year
So I
11.
think I'm a year behind.
Yeah, I mean, if it was in its third year, so that would have been 2014. So yeah, you should. Yeah,
Which I just picked up my
you.
seventh.
Yeah, yeah. You should have been. You should have been. You should have been picking up your eighth.
Yeah, I just picked up my seventh month ago.
Yeah. Okay. So there's obviously ZERT is evolving. The evolution of ZERT it is happening now. Obviously, it starts with the website. Obviously, it started with the changing of the acronym and removing the acronym of ZERT. The zombie piece of it, the acronym will always be legacy and lore of ZERT. It'll always be a legacy thing, right? The whole zombie eradication response team, but we kind of just took that out for now, and it's now just ZERT.
Well, I mean,
It's a word.
That's for if you say ZERT, that is what be in my mind is the skull gas mask with the biohazard. Because, I mean, it's it's by far the coolest logo out there.
It is. It's a pretty awesome logo.
I've got
Yep.
the adult version of this on my vest for work. That's blacked out.
Yeah.
And guys don't see it and they're like, "Oh, dude, that's badass." Like, how do I get one of those? Like, I can tell you, bro, but it's some secret, dude. Like,
yeah, no, and it's funny because there's stuff like that's been around, but so as we've removed the acronym right now, there's a plan for an acronym coming back, but it's going to take some time. So what I want to see out of ZERT over the next year is obviously the launching of the national training curriculum, and ensuring that members are getting out there and training,
and quality training by quality instructors that is more than just firearms training. Obviously, it's medical training. There is an idea and my goal. More than anything, I want to do a good medical training class. I mean, because every 2 years I have to take for work, I have to take first aid, CPR, the basic, first aid CPR that, everybody gets in, the first time. And I would like something a little more, not necessarily for work purposes, but
just for your own. So
Yeah,
and that's
I go in some very remote places when I go hunting and fishing, and just because you're hunting and fishing doesn't mean bad shit can't happen.
exactly. So I'm glad you just brought that up. So like I said, so medical survival training, right? So building a shelter in the wilderness, building the fish the fish basket to catch fish. Great. So everybody watching, yeah, I mean, sure, that's great. Can you shoot an animal? Can you shoot a deer if you need to? Sure. People will probably. I'm sure there's probably comments. Yep, I can. Great. Can you process that animal?
Well, that's where the hard part comes in.
Exactly. So that's something that we want to offer. We want to how to process the animal. I mean, what do you need to do afterwards? Because great if you can kill it, but now you got to be able to use the food to feed who you need to feed, right? So stuff like that, land nav, basic stuff like that, basic primitive skill set. You know what I mean? Like the stuff that bushcraft. Yeah, there you go, bushcraft. All of those things. Those are the things that building a fire without a lighter. Like, can you do it? Using a flint or whatever the case may be. But those are the kind of training that we want to put out there. I'm not saying it's all going to happen next year. I know that the low hanging fruit is the firearms and the medical training. But then we're going to evolve that. We need to start somewhere. We've built the foundation back, or we're building the foundation back, and now it's time to put the first level down, and that's okay, let's get everybody proficient with a firearm, and then let's build on top of that, and then build outside of that and expand, to an add-on, and just we're going to continue to build this community and provide the skill set that you should have to be your own first responder. Because at the end of the day, that's what's most important. You live in a community, you live in a neighborhood, you may be that first responder in that neighborhood, and you may need to provide more than just a skill set of firearms. So that's the goal.
Firearms,
right?
Is such a small percentage of survival.
Sure, of course it is.
But it's the one that we spend the most money. It's the one we spend the most money and the most time on, because it's really the most fun.
Yeah, I will challenge you there that maybe like guys like you and I spend the most, but there's people out there that probably spend as much money on the other side of the things, like the bushcraft stuff. Like, I mean, I love to go camping, and I go camping, a few times a year if I can. And I know Paul Taylor just did a hike and did some camping, and him and I have talked about it. We talk about meals and meal prep, and preparing for that. And, to me, I spend just probably as much money on camping gear and stuff like that as I do on firearms and stuff. But, I want to provide the members of this community and this organization the skill set that they're looking for, the networking and relationships that they want, and just to make it a great place. I'll never forget, Aaron telling me something back in the day when he was talking about the size of ZERT and where he wanted to see it, and he wanted to rival the NRA, basically the members. He wanted the membership number to rival the NRA, and I looked at him and I was like, huh, okay. I mean, that's a pretty lofty goal, but I like it. Like I said, we've cycled through 26,000 members. And I say cycled through, and I don't say we have 26,000 members, because we've lost some along the way, and some that haven't renewed, some they didn't get what they wanted out of it. And I'm hoping to change that. I'm hoping to give the would-be members and the members of ZERT the community that they want and that they signed up for. And then I hope to grow it, and I hope to sit at 100,000 members globally within a couple of years. And could you imagine the kind of events we have when we're that big? Like,
really would be an intergalactic kegger.
Oh, it would. Oh, you got it. It would be something. But that opens up a lot of things, right? That opens up a different kind of ZERT headquarters, with a different kind of, I guess, ability. Basically, our own range, our own shoot houses, our own medical training facilities, our own, however many hundred acreage, preserve, if you will, where we can teach how to build shelters and live off the land and hunt and process animals in the wilderness.
I mean, think about it like this: y'all held an event on Battleship Texas.
Right. And the only people to
How
have done
many
that.
other organizations have ever done something like that?
None. None. So there's some things that I have in the works. There's some ideas that I have and things that I want to do that I don't think we'll ever top Battleship Texas, but may come close. Maybe a nice warm second.
So,
we'll see.
I'm really hoping to see a lot of great things. Let's say I've been a member for a long time, and I plan to stay current on my membership. Hoping to next month get caught up with my 8th year.
Okay.
So, like I said, I just got my 7th last year or last month. So I'll order my 8th to get caught up next month.
Yeah. No. Awesome, man. I love seeing them go out.
Jerseys going out. Are we placing an order on the shooting jerseys this week or
Yes.
next?
So yeah, the shooting jerseys went live last weekend. The first production run I will probably send in on Monday. We'll see. I don't really want to make it. I don't want to put too much time between it, just because it's not a real good feeling to pay for something and not get to show it off and try it on as soon as possible. And I understand that more than anything, but they are custom jerseys, and it's not just I can't just order 100 of them and put random call signs on. So it's literally they're literally made to order with your call sign.
I was so excited when I saw that post come up on Instagram. I was like, yee!
Yeah. I'm really excited too. And we are gonna release a second one, and it is going to be a more generic one. Or maybe the black the multicam black. But what's going to be so customizable for that one? Obviously, it's going to be your call sign, your name, and then we will allow for customization of the country patch. Right. So obviously, anybody in the USA will want the American flag going on it, but for our members outside of the United States, we want them to be a part of this just as much as we are. So we will make that a customizable feature. So if somebody wants it in Italy, we can throw the Italian flag up there as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's gonna be badass.
Yeah, I can't wait. So as of right now,
original.
I'm sorry.
I said it rivals the original. And I was some salty that I didn't get to order my original one.
Well, I always I love everything that ZERT has done over the time, whether it's a legacy thing or whether it's a new thing. But I was very excited to bring some things back that ZERT did. Like obviously we brought the Deathridge toothpick back. We are bringing that back in. We're bringing the shooting jerseys back. There's a couple other things that we're working on as well, some old school stuff, and then there's some stuff that
some of the pistol accessories like the back plates and
yes. So I'll give you a little bit of. So there's a couple of things that changed, right? So one of the first things, obviously, members have seen. They're like, well, what happened to PayPal? Well, we removed PayPal from ZERT. PayPal does not support Second Amendment companies.
No.
So the minute we put the custom laser engraved magazines on there, PayPal froze our account. So we said, oh yeah, no, that was a mistake. And then we took all of our money out and then we put it back up and told PayPal they can get bent. So
good for y'all.
Yeah. So the next thing is we're moving the website off of the platform that it's on, which is also not 100% 2A friendly. They are in a certain way, but there's some terminology that's very loose, and I don't want to run the risk of it. So once we roll out the new website, which hopefully will be in a couple of weeks, I have backplates, I have magazine base pads. They're sitting in a box on shelves in the warehouse. They just need to be put up. I don't want to do it until we're in the clear. And then yes, we will bring in mag extensions again, as well as some other stuff. But then there's other things that that I put out there that was kind of a creation based off of some of my likes, and that's like the ZERT, the Death Blossom party shirt. Like,
Oh yeah, I got one of those. It's awesome.
I love that shirt.
Thinks it's ugly.
Oh, that's great.
I showed it to my guys at work, and they were like, "That is the most badass Hawaiian shirt ever." I was like, "It's not Hawaiian."
Right. I mean, it kind of is. It's got a little bit of this like hidden Hawaiian meaning. I mean, it's funny because I showed somebody the other day, and they were like, "Oh yeah, the skull is like so subdued in it. It's great." I mean, I can't wait to make more, and I'm probably gonna make one every year. But
probably order it every year.
Yeah. So back to the question. Like I said, I think we're going to launch the production shirt, or we're going to launch the shirts into production on Monday, and then hopefully they will be a couple of weeks in production. I don't know. I got to find out what the time frame is. Then they ship back to HQ, and then we will get the orders all shipped out. So I'm hoping at the latest by the middle of October.
All right, awesome. Anything else you want to touch base on?
That is it on my side, man. I really appreciate this. I enjoyed being on here with you.
Hey, I appreciate you coming on here and hanging out with us tonight.
Yeah, of course.
So, well, if you don't have anything else tonight, Chris, go ahead and shut the stream down and let you get to bed, because
awesome,
I work in the morning too.
Yeah, yes, we do. And the dog's sitting over here by the door looking at me going, it's time. Get me out. So thanks again, John, man. I look forward to doing this again with you.
All right, no problem. Hey, thanks. Right. This is Liberty Stacking signing off. Remember, guys, stay safe and keep stacking.
Awesome. Thanks.